Somebody with a skill as good as yours, why do you think Whipsaw didn't keep you as a designer?
Some of the company, they just reject me. Yeah, definitely frustrated.
Design is no joke. I think you're wasting your time.
It's definitely not easy. You should first focus on your accuracy and get a job.
Try to not burn any bridges. How many jobs have you applied for?
It's really hard to count. Hi, I'm Yuke, senior from our Center College of Design. Here's a Portfolio Pinup.
Really excited to talk to you. You have fantastic portfolio. When I looked at it for the first time, I was really blown away. Why did you pick Art Center to go to get your industrial design education?
I'm an international student. Usually come from Shanghai, China, and I've been to Art Center in 2021. I just start pursuing my career degree for 4 years. There's so many schools out there, but I definitely think Art Center is one of the most, the school that allocate for professionalism and the kind of creativity sort of combined with industry. And there's a lot of teacher there actually are like a practitioner, so they're doing work, but they know a lot of about industry.
Why did you choose to get an education in the US rather than stay in China?
It's a great question. So they do have a lot of industrial design programs set up in China, but at that moment, I think United States, especially for Art Center, is famous. It's more great of resources, great teacher, great model shop, great class setup.
Would you say the Art Center is very well known in China?
Sort of, yes. I would say it's kind of well known in among art, industrial design student or automotive design student field.
So I know that Art Center is a private school. It's certainly not an affordable school to go to. Do you remember how much you had to pay to attend that school?
I would say around 20K per term. A little bit higher, but it's every term is different. But average is around 20 to 25K kind of.
A lot of students, they hear about student debt, paying for college, and especially if they have to move far away like what you had to do, live in an expensive city. Tell me, how are you able to afford going to Art Center?
Because we're international students, so this is more parents, they kind of found us, go to Art Center. Art Center scholarship is not that easy to get. So you do need to have a great competence to have a great portfolio, and hopefully they can get some scholarship. This is one way. I'm not sure is there any other way, especially for the native citizen. But for international students, it's mostly scholarship that can kind of reduce the burden of economic stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And these scholarships, are you getting them from places in China or at Art Center itself?
At Art Center itself.
What is the process like to get these kind of scholarships?
The process is fairly easy, I would say. They will just let you offer the website, portfolio. They will check your GPA or other stuff. So basically, all you need to provide every term or every 2 term is your portfolio. And then they will evaluate your portfolio and your GPA together. Their score that adding up. That then finally they will decide if they offer you a scholarship or not.
So it sounds like it's really based on those factors that you mentioned: GPA, quality of your portfolio. Is this something that you guys are competing against each other to get for a limited amount of scholarships, or is it typically handed out pretty evenly?
It's pretty competitive, I would say.
So when somebody says they got a scholarship at Art Center, you know that they're probably pretty good.
Definitely above average. Yeah, definitely above average. You gotta to have a great GPA and it's a great portfolio.
Tell me a little bit about how that education structure is broken down. What did they really teach you in the first couple years of being at Art Center?
So the first years I come to Art Center, so most heavily focused is your prototyping ability. How you transfer design from sketches to prototyping. Not directly into 3D modeling work yet. When you go to Art Center, the first lesson you learn is how to prototype. You go to work model shop every day, try to figure out how this form, how this paint is working perfectly, and how you can transfer your sketch from 2D to 3D. like in real prototyping setup. And we will do a lot of, paper prototyping, laser cutting, maybe not CNC form, but more like hand sanding.
Oh, that's actually the first time I ever heard of that. So it sounds like it really gets you to work with your hands first to really understand the product, how everything comes together. And then after that, I imagine they teach you sketching, CAD work.
Yeah, sketching, prototyping more like the same time. We also have the visual communication classes. So 1 to 2, it's more like, sketching on a paper. It's like, 10 hours a day sketching on a paper. Every weeks you have to deliver like 11 pages or so. So that is kind of the parallel with the prototyping part.
And when they teach you sketching, I imagine first they're starting you off with very technical perspective rules, and then eventually you get a little more loose.
We have visual communication 1. That is very technical. You learn how to create a grid, how to transfer 2D, provide a 3D.
What kind of tools are you using when you're sketching? Tell me about some of the pencil types, markers, rulers, all that kind of stuff.
At the start, I do have a lot of marker and like I'm kind of like ballpoint pen. I'm not sure how to call it though. Just like normal pen and marker. I kind of forget the brand honestly.
I know a lot of younger designers or people that are interested in industrial design, they typically start off with regular pencil because you can erase. But it seems like you're talking about markers and pens and ballpoint pens.
During our visual communication 1 classes, I'll have a little like confused that why professor doesn't allow me to use pencil. It can be erased. It can, if you're not as great, you just erase it. But it's how professors say is you should first focus on your accuracy and your instinct. You cannot like whatever make how much mistake as possible. You should like be mindful for every touch you put on the paper, so you have a better practice in terms of this thing of like the form, how to transfer the form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also I think every touch on the paper means something. So if you erase and only get accurate like line, you will do it forever.
I really want to jump into your portfolio because there's a ton of questions that I have for you on how you went about developing it, your design process, because it's fantastic. Before we get into it, how do you feel about your portfolio? Do you feel really good about it? Does it compare well with your classmates? Do you think it's more top of your class or middle of your class or lower of your class? How do you feel about your portfolio?
There's always have a lot of like students that do better, I would say. Yeah, I do think, yeah, for my portfolio, I put a lot of time in it, but it definitely doesn't represent it's perfect. I do think every project I make, there is something I should improve even more. Every project. So I would say still kind of the, kind of top in my current level in our center.
Now, after being a senior, now going through the program, do you think it lived up to your expectations?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, I think I treat university or college as a platform. So it's not about like how great the college is represent how great I am, because a lot of students, they're super fantastic in our center, or maybe some school that's not so famous but students come from there's also fantastic. um yeah, I'm more treating as college as a platform instead of kind of a tagline for me. So yeah, but I do think our center do offer a lot of resources that is really great. For example, a lot of teacher, they work in Samsung and they directly come back for our center to teach. And also some of the teacher even like have their own design studio that maybe hire intern, and a great model shop. Like they have 2 or 3 model shop that's super large and a lot of setup there. So I do think our center is a great college to go, especially for automotive and industrial design.
All right, great. Thank you. Okay, let's go jump into your portfolio now. You have a couple different projects. Here's a drone, a watch, headphones, a wristwatch. This looks like VR, AR glasses, Alienware device, probably something for computing.
Hmm.
Looks like a phone design, okay, and a motorcycle. So, which one would you say is your favorite portfolio piece out of all of these?
I would say the drone one's the most complete one. So it do involve a lot of some of the kind of engineering or structural part.
So, tell me a little bit about this drone. I think we'll just pick this one and dive really deep into how you built it.
Sure, no
When
problem.
when did you build this one? Was this a class project?
It's a personal project built during the Delft exchange program. Honestly, our center doesn't talk too much about structure or manufacturer or engineering. It's like they're still kind of form focus a lot. So I wanted to utilize the Delft program and then to really learn from the professor and student, which is kind of have some engineering background there.
So, I think you opened up with a very powerful shot of your design. Why did you pick this angle?
I would say it's kind of the visual impact at first. And also the key thing here is I wanted to show in the design or the concept here. So it have two part that is kind of modular, the stabilizer, which is like two kind of the two tripod stuff sticking out, and the
Mm-hmm.
welding arm on the bottom. So that is the hero of the drone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a weak angle of this drone here, but this it was very interesting to me how you decided to show the bottom of the drone rather than kind of a top hero shot of it. It's a good combination of very geometric forms and organic surfacing at the same time. What CAD program did you use?
Is Gravity Sketch adding the SolidWorks. So the main form I using like the main form is, like means the organic like cover, the orange top,
Hmm.
and kind of the main black cap on the bottom. So I just built up a kind of the big main form and then bring it to SolidWorks, to add up all this detail, battery, the tripod, welding arm, the flying arm. They're all building SolidWorks later.
And why did you choose to have two different 3D programs to build this?
Each program have each strengths. So Gravity Sketch or Blender, which I'm trying to learn for Blender, they're like super great at I would say kind of sub-D surfacing that you can figure out the organic surfacing and part in a really short period. Definitely you can model it out in SolidWorks with all this surfacing, but it do take quite a longer time to make it. So in terms of efficiency and the fast iteration, I'll more, for the super, if it is go to a super organic part, I would just go to Gravity Sketch to figure out the main form of that because they're really great at sub D.
Is that a program that they teach you at Art Center, or is that something you learned yourself?
No, it is the thing I learned myself.
What do they teach you at Art Center when it comes to CAD modeling?
In terms of CAD modeling, I do take the classes Rhino and the SolidWorks. So we have
Hmm.
three classes from modeling one, two, three. Only talk about SolidWorks.
Hmm.
Yeah, and we also have some other selective class talk about Rhino or paneling, like kind of parametric design,
Why did you choose to not use Rhino?
because my school didn't really touch SolidWorks, so I just
Hmm.
use more SolidWorks than Rhino.
Looks like the next couple of pages you have here is research pages, development.
I think it really depends on like what company looking for. I do think some of the cooperation there doesn't want to see tons of research. They're more like to see like the very concise version, like maybe one sentence or two. Yeah, I do think research part you should you should you shouldn't put tons of time during your presentation. It's like should be concise and quick, and the main focus is your design process and the final presentation.
I think this is a good amount of pages. It's not too much, but at the same time, it could, I think, be shrunken down a little bit more. I'm probably just going to scroll through this and try to get a rough vibe on how good you are. I could immediately already tell you're really good just by seeing this one render right here. I think what would benefit from this is if you moved a couple of your
Mhm, mhm.
similar renders like this. Just give me another maybe two or three more
Mm.
as I continue to see it at different angles, and then it'll really capture my attention and want me to kind of dig deeper into your portfolio.
Yeah, so you suggest like to set more kind of a big shot at the start and to
Correct,
get a
yeah.
clear
Just a
mind.
couple more.
Mm.
Just a couple more, I think, will be good.
Hmm.
I think you did a really great page layout here, and I really love your sketch page. It's very well laid out. It has that kind of messy, kind of uh, uh, grungy type of look, but
Yeah.
everything also at the same time looks very clean and very clear. I think you have some really nice light strokes, and then some of them there are a little bit more bold and dark,
Yeah.
simple type shapes, but it really shows a good illustration of your exploration. Tell me a little bit about just laying this page out. Are these real sketches, or are these some of sketches that you kind of just built for the portfolio?
Oh, this is actually real sketches, to be honest. Like this done Procreate. So you can see from the top left corner, there's little like very top. Yeah, just a little like thumbnail or very rough sketches that is very simple, just a little. That's like very start of the ideation where the robot arm will be, where the tripod fixer will be, and just gradually moving forward, trying to figure out what's meant for. So you can see this little yellow one in the middle part. I kind of like this vibe, like
Mm-hmm.
triangle shape that converging. So I kind of like this vibe, but it's still just keep exploring, do some of the overlay side view sketches, trying to further refine that.
So you said you used Procreate to
Yeah,
sketch these?
yeah, right.
And why not just regular pen and paper?
I do love the overlay part. So if I have some key sketches, I would definitely can do the overlay and trying to refine the sketch a bit more. I would say sketch on paper, I feel like it's more like broad iteration. Like you just have a lot of like different form, but it turn when it turns into like refined sketches, I more prefer in Procreate because it can do overlay and iteration.
Yeah, so I really love looking at some of your sketches here. I think what makes it successful is you have very light lines, and then some of the lines that you want to emphasize are extra bold. And I
Mm.
think the combination of the light lines with the extra bold lines make it look very dynamic. I also think that just your form development is very good through your sketches. Sometimes sketches can look very 2D, especially if you don't have a good sense of perspective.
Right, right.
But I can really tell just some of the contour lines that you do have and the shadowing that you do have really shows to me that 3D form, even for it just looking like a simple sketch.
Yeah, I feel like there's like some trick. I think because like I do think like the down quarter view is kind of hard, definitely, because you have to have three faces facing on the same
Mm-hmm.
time. So a lot of time during sketch, you can see a lot of sketches like the kind of horizontal view of quarter. So you sort of see
Mm-hmm.
the two faces that, but it's sort of enough, especially for like at least for I think for this project to checking both the front and side. As for the
Mm-hmm.
top, it's more the job for the modeling part. You kind of bring to sub D and try to tweak it.
It's very difficult to try to have that three-quarter hero shot view where you see the three surfaces, like you said. And so I definitely can see a reoccurring theme now. I really love how you also rendered these. It's a very simple render, not too detailed, and also you have a little bit of graphics that you plopped onto the background here. Continuing with the development, it looks like you jumped into 3D modeling.
So this is the left one is Gravity Sketch, the right one is SolidWorks.
I can really truly see hardcore industrial design development here. It doesn't have to look pretty. It doesn't have to look perfect. This very much is, that pinup type of look. That very, when you're deep into the industrial design development, this is really how things look. You're drawing on top of screenshots, drawing arrows. Sometimes sketches don't look perfect.
It's like more like a back and forth between modeling and sketch overlay. I used to be inspired by one art center student. He's super great. So I usually see his sketch that present to his teacher. So this is more like just little thumbnail sketches with a modal underlay. You sort of overlay kind of this where this parting line will be, this stuff, which is super clear and efficient. So that I think that's the moment I start to know, oh, Sketch doesn't have to be super pretty or, you know, have to be nice rendering. It should be as efficient as possible that communicate intention.
Just looking at this product by itself, sometimes you might not even know how big this product could be. It could be kind of like a small shop vac, maybe two
Yeah,
foot tall,
right, right.
or it could be a mini fridge type of size. And so having the silhouette here is a big indication of this giving me the scale, and it doesn't have to be, too highlighted. And so I really love how you just laid all this out, and it's just so informative. And this is really great here too. I love this shot. It looks kind of like a couple iterations, all presented in this kind of 3D space in a way with dramatic lighting, low saturation, but it's a very powerful shot. What did you use to render this?
Keyshot.
Tell me a little bit about your key shot process.
Talking about material, there's definitely some default setup for keyshot, of course, but you can definitely find a lot of like texture from website. So a really great website recommended is Polygon. They definitely have a lot of texture that's super great for render. So they have bump map, reflection map, and talk about lighting. Yeah, just like for this shot, I think in order to create a shadow, I just using a very small size of point lighting, but the lighting intensity is really high, so it will create a kind of shadow effect of that. Or using like the some kind of HDRI, I would say, that's directly create kind of shadow effect of that.
And how did you create this floor here with the kind of like a tile? Is that a texture, or is that something that you built in 3D?
Yeah, it's just using the texture map.
Is this isometric, or because it doesn't look like there's a lot of perspective to this?
Yeah, this approach to orthographic, but it's not purely. So still have a little perspective tweak, but it's nearly hard to tell.
I really like that look too. I always try to stick with a more higher focal length type of look, because I think that when the focal length is like around 50 millimeters or even 85, sometimes the perspective is just a little bit too warped for me.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
just to really show off the design of it and not have that perspective warp, I really like to go either isometric or very high camera focal length. And tell me a little bit about the post-processing, because I imagine that you probably do some extra stuff on top of the render after you've pumped it out from Keyshot.
Yeah, so definitely the brightness and contrast versus saturation. This is the two main part I suggest I make for the post editing part, and I apply a slimmer layer of noise on the top of the products, so just in case make it more texture, and yeah, because sometimes I feel like Keyshot, if you directly render it out, it feels like a little bit too smoothed out, and it's lack a little bit touch of the quality or the feeling of real picture. So I just apply a similar layer of noise.
And what program are you using to make all of these adjustments?
Photoshop.
These are really great kind of comic book type of layout and also illustration style. How did you make these?
Procreate.
And then it looks like you jumped into some of these studio shots, white background, very clean. So what I was mentioning before is that I would probably move some of these up towards the top of the portfolio, just a couple of them. And, so the person can really try to sink their teeth into your design, like as if they were about to buy this product. They want to see a couple different views of the drone and kind of fall in love with your design. So how did you create this effect with the propellers? It looks like they're in motion.
Yeah, so this is just a key shot animation. Just make it rotate. And there's a kind of the way to render this animation, but in static one frame setup. So they kind of blur out all the kind of animated part, but still render in static frame.
There's not a lot of real, lines or form to the top of this drone, but it's really broken up very well with these top graphics here with the venting, some part lines that you have here. I'm not sure what these are. They could be screw holes, they could be sensors. So it really breaks up the surface here because if you didn't really have these, I think it would look a little bit plain and boring. And then of course with this front air intake and it looks kind of like a fastener of some sort up here. So it's really broken up very well and it adds to that visual impact.
Yeah, I feel like details is definitely hard because it's not only about surfacing, it's also about the functional, like what kind of different functional component it should be laid. It should be the priority, and then moving to okay where it should be placed, and then moving to the like what surfacing it should have.
So
Yeah,
that contrast of kind of that kind of open space, not too much detail, but then just a ton of form, shadow, lighting, surfacing, details, all the mechanical functions is all down at the bottom, and that play on the two just makes it so powerful. And I love how you faded it out at the bottom here, so it's not just a full opacity all the way through.
yeah, it
That's
was
something
too
that you
close.
intentionally did.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
it's too close to the fridge, it feels like it feels like it's not gentle transition.
I think these are the techniques that some of the best designers do. These are the things that entry level, newer, lower level designers, they don't really have the subtlety. Like a shot like this would have probably been the shot that made the most sense in introducing this portfolio. So the very first image that you see, I
Hmm.
imagine this one right here would have made the most sense because it's more
Hmm.
of that front view 3/4
Yeah.
and it just tells the whole story of the product. I definitely see these textures in the orange part here. It looks like a Moltec.
So this actually I'm applying Keysha. So there's some
Mm-hmm.
noise texture. It's like in a bump map. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
do wanted to make it not super glossy because yeah, this kind of is more like engineering kind of protective show.
And I also see some imperfections when it comes to just something as straightforward as a cylindrical bar that
Mm.
runs all the way across. But I do see you have these little details as far as imperfections in it. That's something that you intentionally added.
Yeah, I feel like it's if it turned into a super simple geometric, I just adding a little bit. No, I kind of liking adding a little bit imperfection, but it's not overcrowded with the overall integrity of the products. Just make it a little bit more realistic, I would say.
And how long do you think you're taking to create just one of these shots?
So it's just more like an evolution that like I constantly put different model that being refined to the key shot and adjust lighting every time a little bit, and finally it kind of naturally comes to these phrases. So I
Mhm.
don't actually know like how long I take, but it definitely take evolution.
So back and forth from keyshot to CAD to keyshot to
Right.
CAD,
Yeah.
seeing how the CAD looks like when it's rendered and making kind of adjustments from there to improve on the design.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and it's amazing just all the detail that you added into this. So just something as simple as these, I don't know what they are, feet or suction cups or something. All that texture that you just have inside of that. This is something that not a lot of people really need. They either want to pay attention to or they even spend the time to make. Things just like these here too with the lines. I can just keep looking at this for hours and just look at all the little details that you added to this. I think that's one of the key things that really make your portfolio just undeniable. These are the shots that I fall in love with, that I can immediately tell this person knows how to design. This person has a good sense of all aspects of design when it comes to render, detailing, functionality, CAD skills, a combination of surfacing and hard modeling. With somebody with a skill as good as yours, why do you think that Whipsaw didn't keep you as a designer?
There are two key things. So it really depends on budget. This company doesn't have enough budget, especially for design agency. They're high intern maybe just for like temporary workload.
There's a lot of students out there now who are probably watching this video and they think one day I want to be as good as you are. Once you reach this level where your portfolio is this good, and personally I would say your portfolio is good enough to get hired, how has it been for you with this current state of the economy to be able to get an interview?
I'm an international student, of course. So in current economy, it definitely a not great or fantastic situation for me to find a internal job because for me, I already been seeking job for a few months. A lot of time, at least like 4 or 5 times, they just simply not wanted to hiring an international student because they're potentially in the future need to kind of sponsor for visa. So it's definitely one of the biggest, the problem or the hard part of every international student, especially for current stage. So it's not only about, so I just wanted to tell everyone, every international student, it's not a lot of time you're being rejected. It might not because your ability is not there. A lot of times it's more like environment stuff. So the sometimes don't just blame yourself too much.
So it
But
sounds
yeah,
like getting a sponsorship is a major hurdle for international students.
right, right.
What is kind of some of the feedback that you've received from maybe your professors, people that are interviewing you for internships?
Definitely research part should be shorter, more concise. Another like suggestion is like the sketching part. Just make it more, obvious about your decision making. Maybe just visually present it clearer. Yeah, and
Okay.
also the text size should be slightly bigger.
I think if you were to ask me, some of that feedback sounds like when a person is put into the position to give you feedback, they have to say something. But at the end of the day, I think your portfolio is exceptional. It's already met that criteria of being able to land a very good job. How many jobs have you applied for the past couple of months?
It's really hard to count. Maybe
That many, huh?
yeah, it's really hard to count, and it's just like every position opened up. It just yeah, but a lot of times, just some of the company they just reject me. Like one day or two, then I know like yeah, maybe the CV round is being passed. Maybe yeah, I don't know.
The number one thing for students is, of course, to be good. They have to get their portfolio up into the level to where it impresses employers. But that also is not a guarantee. I
Right.
think as we clearly see with your case, I think your portfolio is exceptional. It's extremely good. It's definitely up there with some of the best portfolios that I've ever seen. But the issue is sometimes you just have to get lucky. You have to just be able to network, try to not burn any bridges, and also stay humble. And this shot here is just so good. You lowered the opacity of the render, but it also looks very sketchy at the same time. And then
Hmm.
you have very bold kind of parts to really indicate what you want to tell the users to look at, which is very, very cool. I think this portfolio, if anybody's looking at it, is a good portfolio to model after. If you're thinking about getting into design, this is the kind of work that you have to see going into design. These are the people that you're going to be competing with because at the end of the day, there's only a limited amount of jobs out there. Design, I think, is no joke. It might seem kind of fun and exciting, and people like Yuke here, there's other ones too, of course, that are extremely good, and you're going to have to compete with them. How do you feel though about being able to land a job? Frustrated a little bit, or you're just you know what's going to happen at some point?
Yeah, I definitely frustrated a little bit. And it's like it's not a lot of time you feel like okay, I'm confident about to find at least get a job. But
Mhm.
a lot of time you just like suddenly receive a lot of thank you letter. It's okay, just keep putting your passion, to connecting people, to perfect your portfolio. Yeah, because at the end of the day, this is the you should do and you should keep on. Like a lot of the things, like for example, environment is not controlled by you, so don't blame yourself at that part. But at least for the thing you can do, you just keep doing it, make it perfect. Like me, yeah, I think at the end of the day, you will finally get something because you just keep on doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Even though maybe not get a result immediately, but yeah, just keep on the thing that you love to do. It's important.
Mm-hmm.
At least I get some fun from it. It's definitely not easy. It definitely take a lot of time practicing. Um, yeah, this a passion for me. So I wanted to learn more and wanted to make my next project better. So that vision just keep driving me. So sometimes it's not about like very technique part, because as long as you have know enough technique that can help you to do a good enough level, but it's more about you keep perfection. Everything is important because everybody know how to intersect or make boss extrusion, or maybe in terms of SolidWorks boundary surfacing. But more important is about like how you keep putting effort on the detail and every consideration that kind of we make.
AI seems to be a really big thing at the moment. Have you dabbled into AI when it comes to your design process?
Especially for AI part, I currently treat it as kind of the ideation tool. So Viscom, Midjourney, but maybe Viscom is more like after I finish a sketching part. I right now trying to make it into the Viscount using, is there potential surfacing change or like CMF difference of that? Sometimes AI just gives some unexpected surfacing based on the same sketching, but sometimes it's bad, but sometimes it's great.
How did you make some of these visuals as far as these graphics?
Mainly done in Figma. Figma is really great at, as I mentioned, really great at UI and integrate everything.
Little things like this shows me that you have a good sense of kind of graphics design, 2D layout. It looks very professional. I'm sold on that. It looks like a real kind of user experience. And so that's not something that you need to highlight, obviously, because you want to probably be hired as an industrial designer. But it just tells me that you have such a good sense of aesthetic. You know how things look and things should look. And you executed it extremely well. That's a wonderful portfolio. If
Thank
anybody
you.
wants to check out his other portfolio pieces, I'll have his portfolio linked down below. And if any employer wants to hire Yuki, you definitely get a thumbs up from me. I usually rank design portfolios as far as S tier, A tier, B tier, C, D, and E. I don't know if there is an E actually, but I would definitely put this in S tier. Yo, designers, hope you enjoyed that episode of Portfolio Pinup. I want to keep this going, so if you want to be able to be on the next episode of Portfolio Pinup, get feedback from me, go ahead and shoot me an email. The link should be down below in the description. I'd really love to hear from you, so have your portfolio ready and we could figure out the details from there. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.